Om Shri Narayan Param Guruve Namah. I am honored to be part of this online program in memory of Chatambi Swamigal. And for this, I would like to thank all the members of New Delhi Sakha of SNDP for giving me this opportunity. I would like to dedicate my today's talk to my late husband, Mr. Balachandran MS, who was an ardent admirer of Sri Narayan Guru and a staunch follower of his principles. He was proud to be a Nirva, and welfare of his community was foremost in his mind. I acknowledge his brilliance through this dedication. I begin my talk with a famous quote which says, "Avoid boastful thoughts about your physical achievements and material accumulations. Contemplate over the ultimate reality of existence. That alone will give meaning to life." These are the famous words of Sri Vidyadhiraja Chatambi Swamigal, the great scholar saint of Kerala, one of the torchbearers of the Reformation movement of 19th century Kerala, a time when caste system in Kerala was at its peak. Chatambi Swami initiated movements for social and religious reforms that later successfully eliminated the old age caste-based hierarchical social structures in Kerala. Looking at his early life and childhood, Chatambi Swami was born to Vasudeva Sharma and his wife Nangama on 25th August 1853 at Kollur in Thiruvananthapuram. His parents fondly called him Ayappan, but he was also affectionately called by his pet name Kunnan by those who loved him. Kunnan was a child genius, though he had no formal education. He learned Malayalam alphabets from his father, and by borrowing the books of the boys who were attending village school, he learned to read Malayalam and Tamil. Chatambi Swami made a daily habit to overhear the Sanskrit lessons, which a teacher, Raman Pillai Asan, used to give to Brahmin boys. Seeing this, the teacher was impressed by Kunnan's aptitude and his thirst for knowledge. So the teacher, Raman Pillai Asan, allowed him to attend his classes. Thus, by learning Sanskrit, Kunnan ultimately achieved considerable proficiency in Sanskrit, which later enabled him to undertake a deep study of Vedas. It was here in this school that he earned the name of Chatambi, which means a leader or reformer, a name he got for his leadership qualities. Not only his leadership qualities, Chatambi Swami's simplicity, great self-sacrifice, his loving tenderness for all living beings are deeply inspiring. Chatambi Swami then traveled extensively to different parts of Kerala in search of knowledge and truth. And being a great yogi and a social reformer with a unique personality, he strictly adhered to all the virtues of an ideal sage, such as ahimsa, satya, astaya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. As he was a great scholar, he came to be known as Vidyadhiraja. Chatambi Swami made revolutionary attempts to present the eternal truths of Vedas and of the Upanishads to ordinary people in simple, comprehensible language and made them acquainted with the Advaita philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya, thereby freeing them from the darkness of ignorance. One of his greatest works is Vedadikara Nirupanam, which refuted the baseless customs and the monopolization of Vedas, science, and education by a minority. This work of his infused strength and inspiration in the common people to fight for their right. His another literary genius is Prachina Malayalam, which awakened the minds of the people and gave them a collective sense and convictions of common origin and a belief in a common ancestry. Chatambi Swami believed that every human being belonged to the same caste, and fitting to his thought was his way of life. He stayed and dined with the members of all classes and castes. His expectations in forming a just Hindu society was with Nayars and Irva groups. And he said that if these two joined together, then all other would join them and the caste feelings will disappear. Chatambi Swami and Sri Narayan Gurudevan attempted their best to materialize this dream. Sri Narayan Gurudevan and Chatambi Swami both were disciples of Taika Dipaya Swami. Chatambi Swami and Sri Narayan Gurudevan made first trip to Arvepuram, which later became the abode for meditation and spiritual activities of Guru. One of the unique personality of Chatambi Swamigal was that he possessed divine commendable powers. These powers were over the animals and human beings alike. He had the power to cure seemingly incurable diseases, and he could make cows, dogs, ants, cobras, and even the tiger obey his commands. Chatambi Swamikal also worked for the emancipation of women, and he encouraged them to come to the forefront of the society. He said that enslavement of women is manifestation of male arrogance. He worked against the obsolete systems of inheritance, child marriage, polygamy, and many other outdated customs. Study of the modern history of Kerala is incomplete without considering the role of Chattambi Swami, a real star on earth who has now become a guiding star in the sky. I end my talk with this quote of Sri Vidyadhiraja Chattambi Swamigal. The whole universe is the manifestation of one. The apparent difference between different objects are only an illusion. An understanding of this truth will lead to liberation and salvation.